you know the names of the U.S. residents who then became the presidents and got a view from the White House loo of Pennsylvania Avenue? George Washington was the first you see. He once chopped down a cherry tree.
President number 2 would be John Adams, and then number 3.
Tom Jefferson stayed up to write the Constitution late at night, so he and his wife had a great big fight, and she made him sleep on the couch all night.
James Madison never had a son, and he fought the War of 1812.
James Monroe's colossal nose was bigger than Pinocchio.
John Quincy Adams was number 6, and it's Andrew Jackson's butt he kicks, so Jackson learns to play politics. Next time he's the one that the country picks.
Martin Van Buren, number 8, for a one-term shot as chief of state.
William Harrison, how do you phrase? That guy was dead in 30 days.
John Tyler, he liked country folk.
And after him came President Polk.
Zachary Taylor liked to smoke. His breath killed friends whenever he spoke.
1850, really nifty, Miller Fillmore's in.
Young and fierce was Franklin Pierce, the man without a chin.
Follows next a period spanning 4 long years with James Buchanan. Then the South starts shooting cannon, and we got a civil war.
A war down south of Dixie.
Up to bat comes old Abe Lincoln.
There's a guy who's really thinking.
Kept the United States from shrinking, saved the ship of state from sinking.
Andrew Johnson's next. He had some slight defects.
Congress each would impeach.
And so the country now elects
Ulysses Simpson Grant, who would scream and rave and rant
while drinking whiskey, oh the risky, cause he'd spill it on his pants.
It's 1877 and the Democrats would gloat, but they're all amazed when Rutherford Hayes wins by just 1 vote.
James Garfield someone really hated, cause he was assassinated.
Chester all the gets instated, 4 years later he was traded.
For Grover Cleveland, really fat, elected twice as a Democrat. Then Benjamin Harrison, after that it's William McKinley after that.
Teddy Roosevelt charged up San Juan Hill.
And President Taft, he got the bill.
In 1913, Woodrow Wilson takes us into World War I. Warren Harding, he does fine.
It's Calvin Coolidge next in line.
And then in 1929 the market crashes and we fight.
It's Herbert Hoover's big debut. He gets the blame and loses too.
Franklin Roosevelt, president who helped us win in World War II.
Harry Truman, weird little human, serves 2 terms and when he's done.
It's Eisenhower who's got the power from 53 to 61.
John F. Kennedy, he gets shot, so Lyndon Johnson takes his spot.
Richard Nixon, he gets caught, and Gerald Ford fell down a lot.
Jimmy Carter like campaign trips.
And Ronald Reagan's speeches, scripts all came from famous movie clips. And President Bush said, read my lips.
Now in Washington, D.C.,
That's Democrats and the GOP.
But the one in charge is plain to see.
it's Clinton, first name Hillary.
The next president to lead the way, well, it just might be yourself one day. Then the press will distort everything you say. So jump in your plane and fly away.
morning I got up late and there were these monkeys outside the gate. The guard tried to stop somebody, had no luck. The monkeys got free and they ran amok. I don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do.
Don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do.
I don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do.
Don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do.
My office was run by the studio nurse. I came downstairs and what could be worse? The monkeys was doing a crazy dance. They put buggies in my underpants. I don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do.
Don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do.
Monkeys dance, then I dance too.
Don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do.
I ran outside to get a stick, but I'm telling you, friends, those monkeys was quick. Cause when I returned, much to my disgrace, those monkeys had the nurse in a bad embrace.
I don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do.
For a nickel, I'll give you a clue.
I didn't know your eyes were blue.
I don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do.
Yes, sir!
En pleine fille.
I went to me bath for a shower and shave. The monkey's gonna put me into my grave. The entire bathroom was laid to waste, and they shaved my head with minty toothpaste. I don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do.
Don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do.
They is crazy nuts, so I'm telling you.
Don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do.
Well, by this time I was feeling dread. They was using a shoe brush to shine me head. I asked them to leave, but they stayed around. They pulled a chain and I went down. I don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do.
Don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do.
Call my lawyer, I'm ready to sue.
Don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do.
Yes, sir, brother!
Tomorrow I show those monkeys the door. And if they don't leave, I'm inviting you to my house for dumplings and monkey stew. I don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do.
Don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do.
Now I'm in the stew. Oh, boo.
Don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do.
Watch out for monkeys, I'm telling you.
Don't know what to say, the monkeys won't do. We're not monkeys, we're just cuckoo. Don't know what to say, the warriors won't do.
I don't trust liberals. I think you guys are socialists.
Oh my gosh, you are seriously so paranoid to believe that. We aren't socialists just because we want bigger government. Socialism is seizing the means of production, not any and all government spending. Oh my gosh, you seriously don't see that socialism works? What's wrong with you? Socialism just means government spending. Are you an anarchist or something?
Look, I don't agree with it, but if two gay people want to live together or act as a couple, I could care less. I just don't want them forcing Christian photographers to participate in their weddings or sue Christian bakers for not catering a ceremony their religion prohibits them from taking part in.
You are seriously so paranoid. That doesn't happen and it never will. It's just a rumor spread by bigots like you to promote fear of gay tolerance. If you don't bake cakes for gay couples, you are seriously bigoted, and I don't feel bad for you if you get fined out of business or thrown in jail. It's asinine to say that supporting due process for those accused of terrorism means you somehow support the terrorist. Everyone should be seen as innocent until proven guilty, and if we don't support due process for those accused of even the worst crimes, we don't support it for anyone. If you support due process for people accused of rape, that just means you think rape is okay. It should be guilty until proven innocent, you rape apologist.
You think everything's bigotry. before we know it, just being straight will be considered homophobic.
You are seriously so dumb. Oh my gosh. Such an insane slippery slope fallacy. We're never going to call somebody a bigot for not wanting to have sex with a man. If you won't have sex with a transgender woman, you're transphobic. Political correctness isn't about censorship. That's seriously so paranoid. Honestly, why don't you ever trust me?
Hey guys, it's Seamus. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you to Julie Borowski for lending her voice to this video. If you haven't already, please check out our channel and check her out on Patreon too. And if you like my videos, check me out on YouTube and Facebook. And if you really like my videos, donate on Patreon for some special perks and behind-the-scenes stuff. Thank you so much. Guns, the loud killer. Or, why you should support gun control and why the only people who don't want restrictions on the Second Amendment are child-killing right-wing bigots.
Look, I believe just as much as the next guy in protecting our children, but gun restrictions have proven to be ineffective. In the words of Ben Franklin, those who would trade safety for liberty deserve neither and will lose both. Ben Franklin was a brainwashed NRA bigot. Plus, if the Founding Fathers were so smart, how come they're dead? Gun violence, that's why. Did you hear about the most recent mass shooting? Let me stand on graves and manipulate your emotions for a moment. The shooting was done with an AR-15, also known as the ghost gun. Called that because it turns people into ghosts. The AR-15 ghost gun has a 2 trillion round clip, fires 500,000 bullets per microsecond, and if you think that's bad, you haven't even heard about the bullet button. One press of that sucker and you unlock the cheat code for unlimited ammo and invincibility. Even worse, free AR-15s are being distributed with every pre-order of Call of Duty, and AR-15 ghost guns are being delivered to mental health facilities by the NRA as part of their Kill Children program.
The preceding information may be entirely untrue.
We need to do something about automatic weaponry. Actually, fully automatic weapons are illegal and have been illegal for many years, and most crime isn't committed with AR-15s, it's handguns.
Plus, violent crime has been decreasing for years. And almost all of gun violence is the product of gang violence in leftist-run cities. The likelihood of actually being killed in a mass shooting is extremely low.
Extremely low? Have you not heard there were 355 mass shootings in the US this year?
355? That's ludicrous. Who would believe that?
Well, NPR, PBS, HuffPo, Vox, Washington Post, New York Times, MSNBC, and CBS believe it. Where did they get this information? From Reddit, so you know it's trustworthy. The info came from a subreddit which was turned into a website called MassShootingTracker.org. Take a look at these terrible shootings. Oh, and almost half of them, not a single person died. It's almost like they weren't actually mass shootings. Wow, it looks like America has the safest mass shootings in the world. In fact, our mass shootings are so safe that we're willing to call 3 or more people being shot with a BB gun a mass shooting. In the US, there have been 14 trillion mass shootings in the last half hour. But it doesn't have to be that way. Look at Australia. Australia is a land where everything is trying to kill you. Except guns, of course, because they got rid of them. Huzzah for Australia, a country which saw a plummet in violence after its gun ban. Ignore the fact that this is a continuing trend in which gun violence in Australia was decreasing at an identical rate before guns were banned. And seriously, who needs an AR-15 for hunting? Or self-defense? A simple handgun works. You don't need a ghost gun. Well, actually, the AR-15 is one of the most popular hunting rifles, and they're great for home defense, too. Not only that, but inner-city shop owners especially need AR-15s to protect their stores and families in case of riots when journalists irresponsibly rile up racial tensions.
Ugh, it's justified outrage. Get over it.
Look, not only are you losing the arguments on home defense and hunting, but even if you weren't, the Second Amendment isn't about those things. It's about the ability to rebel against tyranny. That's paranoid and insane. The government will never become tyrannical. What do you think of Donald Trump? He's literally Hitler. He wants to put Muslims and women in FEMA camps. The Constitution was talking about the militia, by the way, not the people. And militia translates to government military. What? No, it doesn't. The people are the militia. And why would any government need to give itself the right to own guns in a founding document? I'm done with this conversation, you right-wing, pro-NRA, anti-child, anti-woman, death-loving bigot. You may have been taken in by these pro-violence hate facts, but I have enough faith in the public and trust that they will believe the objective and logical truths I propose. Guns are icky. The government has given itself the right to own guns with the Second Amendment. AR-15s are useless for home defense and hunting, but are also the most dangerous and effective killing machines ever created. Governments never become tyrannical.
Trump is Hitler, and if he wins, our government will become tyrannical. And if by some stretch you're able to poke holes in any of these airtight arguments, get ready for me to fall back on this. The Constitution is a living document, which means it says whatever I want it to say. The NRA disagrees. They think the Constitution is dead. Why? Because they shot it, that's why. But it survived. The question is, will our children survive? Hey guys, it's Freedom Tunes. Thanks so much for watching. If you like watching leftist nonsense get destroyed and made fun of in animated form, subscribe on YouTube and like us on Facebook. If you really like watching leftist nonsense get destroyed, donate on Patreon to help me make more cartoons. Thank you so much.
Freedom Tunes. Do you talk fast always? Is
Yes.
like you're born this way? Is this
Yeah,
like
everyone in
how
my
you've always-
family, everyone in my family talks this
Your
way.
family.
Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving. Okay, folks, who made these cranberries? Honestly, these are the worst cranberries I've ever tasted. I made them, and it's actually extremely impolite for you to insult my cooking on Thanksgiving, okay, folks? Our taste buds don't care about your feelings, okay? Okay, gang, well, if you want to make your own cranberries, feel free, but you're not entitled to free food, and the idea that you would complain over quality of service when you're receiving it for free is just ridiculous, okay? Okay, can somebody please pass the mashed potatoes, folks? Actually, these are my mashed potatoes, okay? I made them myself, and they're therefore the product of my own labor. And the idea that you feel it's acceptable to put a gun to my head and force me not only to give you the mashed potatoes, but to actually have me pass them to you as well is absolutely asinine, okay? Okay, well, that would be a solid argument if not for the fact that you're eating asparagus, which I made, okay? Ben, how could you seriously not pass the mashed potatoes after taking her asparagus? Is it my fault she gave it away for free and lost all leverage? I'm trying to teach my child how to compete and succeed within the free market, okay, folks? Good gaga, folks. I didn't realize I was surrounded by communists. I have the mashed potatoes and the asparagus because I make good decisions, okay, folks? Honestly, Ben, you're the last person to get smart with me, considering you're the only one in the family to be born with an IQ lower than 300. Okay, well, you know what, Auntie? Believe it or not, some people consider an IQ of 215 to be relatively impressive, all right, folks? Sorry I'm late, folks. I had more important things to take care of. I'm actually a doctor. She's a doctor, folks. His wife's a doctor, She's a doctor. My wife's a doctor. Did you bring the turkey?
Gobble, gobble. Socialism works. Hey folks, thank you so much for watching. And Ben Shapiro, if you end up watching this, please understand I'm a huge fan. I hope you're not insulted by the videos I've been doing about you. I love your work. Happy Thanksgiving, folks, and if you're feeling generous, please consider donating on Patreon because Freedom Tunes is entirely fan-funded. Thank you.
Somebody, please help me!
Looks like a job, boy. You shouldn't do that, man!
Oh, thank goodness! You're here to protect me.
Oh no, I shouldn't have to protect you from being mugged. Men just shouldn't mug.
Oh no! It's you shouldn't do that, man! Here to tell us that we shouldn't do something!
Why does society tell banks to protect their safes when the reality is bank robbers just shouldn't rob?
Good question.
I'm here to tell you that you shouldn't do that.
Anyway, this new self-defense weapon is ideal for women to protect themselves against rapists and other predators. It's going to save countless lives.
Women shouldn't protect themselves from rapists. Men just shouldn't rape.
Well, duh. I mean, no one's arguing that. But they do have to protect themselves because people are terrible and the world sucks. And this is an invention which is going to make more of them safe.
But you shouldn't have to make the world more safe.
That doesn't make any sense. And if that's the case, why do you even go around saying rapists shouldn't rape? After all, you shouldn't have to tell rapists not to rape. They should just know not to do it.
But all in a day's work for you shouldn't do that, man.
Hey folks, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and would like to see Freedom Tunes continue to pump out the content, please consider donating at the links in the description. Thank you so much.
Advocates of gun control often point to countries where strict gun laws seem to be working, and argue that those same laws would be just as effective in the US. But upon further examination, we find that many of these policies aren't even very effective in the countries being used as examples, or at the very least that there's no proof they are. The three big ones are Australia, the UK, and Japan. In Australia, gun crime was plummeting at an identical rate before the gun buyback. In the UK, gun crime got worse after the ban and isn't currently declining any faster than the US is. And Japan is a small, homogenous country with an extremely different culture and low crime rates in general, so it's not a good comparison. And if the countries gun control advocates tend to use as examples to promote gun control tend to reveal that gun control isn't all that effective, what can we learn from the examples of gun control that they're not using? Even if Australia, the UK, and Japan were good examples, which they aren't, why would that be the end of the story? Why wouldn't we weigh them against Nazi Germany, Communist Russia, or Maoist China? A government banning guns before becoming tyrannical is a pretty relevant example, considering the Second Amendment was written with the express purpose of preventing a tyrannical government. Also, it's not as if there's just a couple bad governments here or there with strict gun control laws. Literally, all of the most horrific, terrible governments which have ever existed have strict gun control laws. And that's not a coincidence, because you can basically do whatever you want to an unarmed population. Now, some people might say that was a long time ago, things have changed, and even though it wasn't that long ago, I can pick a more recent example, namely Venezuela. In 2012, just 2 years before its humanitarian crisis, Venezuela banned private gun ownership. And as you've probably guessed, the Venezuelan government didn't get this legislation passed by saying, we want it to be easier to oppress our people, or we foresee civil turmoil and would rather you be afraid of us than us be afraid of you. The BBC reported, quote, the ban is the latest attempt by the government to improve security and cut crime. Well, they certainly did improve security, but not for the citizens, just the politicians. It's a lot easier to eat steak while your people starve if you've got guns and they don't. And overall, the murder rate actually rose after the gun. And because the police are the only ones in Venezuela allowed to own firearms, citizens actually started to target and kill police officers to rob them of their guns. And if it wasn't clear enough that Venezuelan gun control is being weaponized against opponents of their Marxist regime, in April of 2017, Maduro gave 400,000 guns back to private citizens, but only the ones who pledged their loyalty. So when the Venezuelan government banned guns in 2014, was it because they were secretly planning on oppressing their people? Honestly, it doesn't matter, because it still allowed them to do it. Hey folks, thank you so much for watching. If you find this content to be valuable, please donate at subscribestar.com/freedomtunes for access to Google Hangouts and behind-the-scenes content. Thank you so much.
This video contains an ad for my Patriot supplies.
I'm a brilliant intellectual.
As am I.
The two of us are sick and tired of dealing with troglodytes and have moved into a bomb shelter so we don't catch the stupid.
To stay sharp, we spend our days pursuing the pastime of true intellectuals, debunking YouTube videos.
We are the debunkers.
Every time there's another mass shooting in America, politicians have the same idea.
It's time to require a background check for anyone who wants to buy a gun.
I'm one of the Republicans who does believe there should background checks.
It is an open secret that the existing background check system is broken.
Oh, I have an appetite for background checks. We're going to be doing background checks.
Here's what they want to change. Right now, gun buyers in the U.S. only have to go through a background check at a gun store. But they don't have to go through one if they buy a gun from an unlicensed dealer, like at a gun show or a private sale.
Only 30 seconds in and we already have a confusing and dishonest statement.
This is going to take a second to break down, but it's actually true. Here's their statement again.
But they don't have to go through one if they buy a gun from an unlicensed dealer, like at a gun show or a private sale.
This is subtle, but the implication is either that all settings are private sellers or that there are two different kinds of exemptions for background checks. One if you buy your gun at a gun show, and another for cases where you're buying from a private seller. Either interpretation suggests mistruth.
Private sellers are people who are not gun dealers by trade, but who want to sell one of their own guns. In most states, if they are selling to a fellow state resident, they are not required to go through a licensed firearm dealer and have a background check performed. This is true whether or not they're at a gun show.
Licensed firearm dealers, on the other hand, are required to perform a background check on anyone purchasing a gun whether or not they're at a gun show. I repeat, all licensed firearm dealers must provide background checks. It doesn't matter if they're selling at a gun show or at their own shop.
But with universal background checks, everyone who buys a gun would have to go through one. Pretty much every American is in favor of this.
Well, you know what they say. Americans are right about everything all the time.
Pretty much every American is in favor of this.
Indeed. Brilliant point, but there's only one problem. Universal background checks won't solve America's gun crisis.
There's only one problem. Universal background checks won't solve America's gun crisis.
What? That's what I said!
What's going on?
But there's something else that might. To understand how background checks work, it helps to imagine two very different people who both want to buy a gun. The first person is dangerous. Maybe he has a history of domestic violence or mental illness. And most importantly, he has a record. And the second one is not dangerous. He just wants a gun for protection or to go hunting or 'cause shooting guns is kind of fun.
Ah, yes. The reasons the founders wrote the Second Amendment.
Yes, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Well, why on earth wouldn't we infringe upon that?
Yes, that's the first thing I would like to infringe upon. You know, for protection, or to go hunting, or because shooting guns is kinda fun.
Before we return to our regularly scheduled debunking, did you know that YouTube demonetized our last debunking?
YouTube's advertisement crackdowns could kill us debunkers, but fortunately, we've got the perfect sponsor lined up because we're prepared for these kinds of things. In fact, we're prepared for just about anything. Why? Because we have My Patriot Supply emergency food, air, and water filtration kits.
Don't tell me you haven't been wondering how we've managed to survive in this bomb shelter for so long.
And how some of us are so well fed.
Hey!
These products keep us alive in our underground fortress, but they're not just for people with massive and luxurious bomb shelters. Any number of potential natural disasters or other emergencies might result in you and your family not having access to food or clean water for several days or even weeks, totally without warning. Are you prepared? Whether you're concerned about a potential catastrophe or just want extra food on hand for the next power outage, snowstorm, or hurricane, go to PrepWithTunes.com for a special discount on a wide selection of everything from emergency survival food kits, water filtration kits, outdoor survival essentials, and camping gear, as well as many other valuable items which could just save your life someday. PrepWithTunes.com. That's PrepWithTunes.com. We look forward to seeing you there.
Now, back to our regularly scheduled debunking.
It helps to imagine two very different people. The first person is dangerous, and most importantly, he has a record. And the second one is not dangerous. Before either one can buy a gun, they first have to go through an FBI instant background check. And I mean instant. It only takes an average of 108 seconds to get a response from the FBI's database. That database is made up of records sent in by state police and other agencies. And it's checked to see if the buyer has things like a criminal record, addiction, a restraining order, or has been hospitalized for a mental illness. Under a universal background check system, anyone buying a gun, whether in a gun store or through a private sale, will have to be checked through that database. That means our second person walks out with a gun, and our first person with a criminal record doesn't. Or at least he shouldn't.
I've done a lot of reporting on this. We have just seen time and time again that background checks do not stop people who we don't want having guns from actually getting the weapons.
Oh wow, almost like gun laws don't work, oh my god.
There are a couple problems with the background check system.
Criminals aren't afraid to get their guns illegally, thus avoiding all background checks?
One is that the FBI database is about as outdated as its logo. It's missing millions of records. That's why the Charleston church shooter was able to buy a gun, despite having a record. Or why the man who killed 26 Texan churchgoers was also able to pass a background check, after the Air Force failed to send his domestic abuse convictions to the FBI. So even with a background check for every type of sale, there's still a chance this guy gets a gun.
A 100% chance if he purchases it illegally. But let's make more laws to impede the ability of law-abiding citizens to obtain weapons for self-defense.
That's partly why study after study has found that while background checks prevent or make substantially more difficult the criminal acquisition of firearms, making them universal doesn't have any effect on the actual gun crisis in America, gun deaths. A Johns Hopkins study of California, where comprehensive background checks were implemented in 1991, found that the law was not associated with changes in firearm suicide or homicide, thanks in part to those incomplete and missing records.
Well, yes, the study said that may be one of the reasons, among other possible explanations, such as incomplete compliance and enforcement, i.e. people just not following the law anyway.
The other problem with background checks is that they only look at good people and already bad people, but there is an in-between.
The background check is supposed to catch people who have a record already. It just misses all the people who haven't done anything bad yet, but might do something bad in the future.
We've already seen Minority Report.
Herman is not advocating for a Minority Report situation.
Okay, we've seen this video before, but I promise I did come up with that punchline before she said it the first time around.
No, you didn't.
He's talking about someone like this guy, who's also dangerous, but who doesn't have a record. Under a universal background check system, he could get a gun in 108 seconds. But there's another system that could prevent this. 12 states and DC have gone one step further and established a licensing system.
Okay, one of those states is Illinois, so I can already tell you that it isn't a good idea.
How's it different? Well, here's how it works in Massachusetts.
Ew.
Before you ever go to a gun store, you first have to take a firearm safety course.
Yes, because America's gun death problem is the result of poor firearms trade, not gang violence and suicide. All of those people just were told by weapons instructors to point down range and keep their fingers off the trigger until they're ready to fire.
Yes, if only they'd taken firearm safety courses so they could learn that it isn't safe to rob a gas station.
Then you have to go to the police department and submit an application. Give references.
References? I've got some references for you. Thomas Jefferson, George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, James Madison, and John Adams. How's that for references?
What about Alexander Hamilton?
I'm aware of his work.
And give your fingerprints for a background check. Then not only is the FBI database checked, but all local law enforcement agencies, wherever you've lived, are directly contacted, along with the Department of Mental Health. That entire process in Massachusetts usually takes about 3 weeks.
This can certainly take longer than 3 weeks. It's possible it might be that efficient in Massachusetts, but as a former resident of Illinois, I can tell you that it took me several months to receive my gun license when I applied, and that's not uncommon.
How long did it take you to get your free speech license? Or your immunity from unlawful searches and seizures license?
Oddly enough, they don't require licenses for those things.
Oh, it's almost as if they're listed very clearly in the Bill of Rights.
And most people, about 97%, pass.
Nothing about a licensing system will prevent a law-abiding citizen from going through the process and obtaining a firearm.
That's Dr. Cassandra Kerfasi. She researches health policy at Johns Hopkins, and she's one of the authors from the studies earlier. She says the reason licensing works is that it's designed to do both of the big things background checks fail at.
A, to properly identify and screen out people who shouldn't have guns. And B, create a system to reduce impulsive gun purchases.
The licensing system is more comprehensive than the one database background check system, so our criminal will be reliably denied a gun. But because it's so meticulous, it also stands a chance of keeping our third guy without a record from getting a gun.
There are people who may want to impulsively acquire a firearm, for example, to harm themselves or others. And the process of obtaining a license can at least delay that person during that time of crisis.
And on the other hand, a person may need to purchase a weapon quickly in order to protect themselves from someone who's recently made them feel unsafe. Simply receiving a threat or being made to feel uneasy isn't grounds for your own 24/7 police escort, especially in impoverished and crime-heavy areas. So that person's only realistic option for self-defense could very well be a firearm. Would you force them to have to break the law and make potentially dangerous black market deals in order to find a weapon to defend themselves within a timely manner?
Or, maybe deter them from getting that firearm at all.
In 1995, Connecticut implemented a licensing system. Over the next 10 years, they saw a drop in gun homicides and gun suicides. Compare that to Missouri, which once had a licensing system but got rid of it in 2007. Over the next decade, they had a huge spike in gun homicides and gun suicides. In both states, there were lots of factors involved, but researchers say this shows that licensing works.
Well, I'm about to embarrass all of those researchers with 30 seconds of my time in a copy of Microsoft Paint.
Just please don't embarrass yourself instead.
These graphs take place during different but overlapping periods of time. If we take the two graphs here and match them up based on their dates, we find that there are decreases in gun violence at the exact same time. Now, one might say this isn't a proper representation, as both have their periods of low gun death rates at the same time that they have these licensing programs. However, when we compare these trends to the national average, we see just how similar the peaks and valleys are.
For as scientific as that demonstration was, I do wish you had something other than Microsoft Paint to make this point.
Well, if you're going to be an elitist about it, there is some more robust data available on this I can use to make the same case. Namely, these graphs, which track Connecticut's gun death rate adjusted for trends in the national average, and show that this licensing law had no discernible effect on gun death rates.
It's also pretty popular. Among voters who live in a house with a gun, more than 2/3 think that it's a good idea.
Don't care, they're wrong.
Ask all Americans, and more than 3/4 support it.
Oh wow, if only we had a clip from earlier in this very video of the narrator stating that the majority of Americans supporting something doesn't mean it works.
Pretty much every American is in favor of this. There's only one problem. Universal background checks won't solve America's gun crisis.
School shootings in a single year in the U.S. How many more lives must be lost before everyone shuts up and passes the laws I tell them to pass?
I'm all for sensible gun laws, but 240? That sounds a bit too high for me to buy.
That's because it is. Ha! You! Go away!
Sorry, can't outrun this one. According to the data you're using, any discharge of a weapon on school property is counted as a school shooting.
That seems reasonable.
Yeah, see? It seems reasonable.
So, for example, in 2018, there was an incident where a man committed suicide in an abandoned school parking lot late at night, and that was counted as a school shooting.
That doesn't seem reasonable, alright.
And the figures which suggest school shootings to be in the hundreds mostly consist of similar embellishments. The best stat we have on this is that over the past 25 years, on average, about 10 kids per year have died in school shootings. So there's really no possible way there could have been 240 shootings in a single year.
Oh yeah? Well, I'll have you know that this number is from the U.S. Department of Education, and we know government data is always airtight, which means there are school shootings almost every single day. School shootings happen more often than they don't. And why? Because the NRA, that's why. They're spending millions of dollars per year to hire trained assassins who pass directly through the gun show loophole into your child's school.
But didn't NPR just release an article which found that 161 of those shootings never actually happened? Most of them were misrepresented or misreported on in some way, and that only 11 of them could actually be confirmed as listed?
NPR? You mean NRA Public Radio? Why would you trust those bigots?
I used to work for NPR. I'll have you know they're anything but conservative bigots, okay?
Yeah, if anything, NPR lanes left.
But that didn't stop Facebook from marking their aforementioned article on school shootings as spam.
Good! Discourse shouldn't be allowed on this issue!
You're telling me Facebook really tried to suppress this info?
Yep. Unfortunately, to many of the out-of-touch monopolists in Silicon Valley, whether or not something is fake news has a bit too
too much to do with whether or not it affirms their political biases, and a bit too little to do with whether or not it's factual. So to recap, school shootings are extremely rare, deaths due to them are even less common, and social media giants are acting as censorious suppressors of free information, cultivating an uninformed populace and fostering a culture of partisan ignorance, and they need to be stopped before it's too...
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see Freedom Toons continue to produce more content, please consider donating at patreon.com/freedomtoons, at paypal.me/freedomtoons, or by purchasing a t-shirt at the link in the description. Thank you so much.
Beto O'Rourke does not get to raise my child. And if he tries, I will meet him at the door with a gun. That is insane.
Ben! Hola! It's Beto! I'm here to raise your child! Ben!
Welcome to the rice fields, okay, folks?
What is that, a cork gun?
It's California compliant.
No civilian should be able to own that! What the H? Give me your guns!
No.
Dang it! Ben, it's for the kids!
No.
Dang it! Ben, I'll be your best friend!
No.
Dang it! Come on! Just give me your freaking guns! Gosh!
You didn't say Simon Says.
Simon Says give me your freaking guns!
No.
Dang it! Ben, your synagogue has been opposing gay marriage publicly. That's not cool. You're promoting homophobia. Gosh! Idiot!
At least I don't pretend to be something I'm not, Robert Francis.
Ben, we've been over this. You need to stop dead-naming me.
Okay, but Robert, you need to understand that what you're doing here is using the threat of state force through means of selective taxation as leverage to coerce churches into modifying their teachings. Do you want the boogaloo? Because that's how you get the boogaloo, okay, folks?
Ben, if your synagogue doesn't teach your child about LGBTQ rights, where will they learn that they might be a woman trapped in a man's body?
They won't, and guess what? I'm not going to teach them that the world is flat or that you're Mexican either. What are you going to do about it? Get DCFS involved?
Hell yes, we're going to take your kids.
Hell yes, we're going to take your kids. All of my children are smarter than you, Robert. If you tried taking them, it would be like Home Alone, except with children who aren't neglected, and a burglar who steals from the entire middle class at once instead of select gated communities. Good gaga, folks.
Well, I may not be able to round those kids up and separate them from their parents, but I sure know who can.
Thank you for calling the Department of Child Services. Para español, oprima dos.
Reporte de abuso infantil. ¿Cuál es su urgencia?
Yes. Este persona lives at, House de Tree.
Señor, no le puedo entender.
Arbol.
¿Es esta una broma?
Este person.
Señor,
One
esta
moment.
línea es muy importante.
Sorry,
Está desperdiciando tiempo.
my
y recursos
friendo, no
Señor,
like transgenderos and
¿puedo
will make
transmitirlo
children
a la
o
línea
bigot
Se
O's.
puede poner
No,
a
I'm
lista
sorry,
al español.
Ninos.
Gracias.
We'll make his ninos such bigotos. Hola? Hola? Dang it.
Hey folks, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And if you really want to help support the show, consider donating at the link in the description. Thank you so much.
Venezuela. No one wants to take responsibility for it. We've heard time and time again that it's not fair to judge socialism based on the performance of Venezuela's economy, or the economy of any other socialist state, for that matter. And whenever a socialist state fails, the argument is inevitably made that this was because they either weren't really socialist, or fell due to factors outside of their socialism. And while no nation in the real world can perfectly match a theoretical ideal, Venezuela is about as close to socialism as a country can get. In fact, Venezuela's government either meets or comes very close to meeting each of the 10 tenets of a socialist government that Marx lays out himself in the Communist Manifesto. So, with Venezuela as clearly a socialist state, how can Marxist practices not be in any part to blame for its collapse? One of the main arguments cited by apologists is that Venezuela isn't collapsing due to socialism, rather its dependence on oil in lieu of serious losses in the average cost per barrel. It's true that the cost of oil has dropped immensely, but how much of the failure of the state of Venezuela can be attributed to this? Well, not only is Venezuela not the largest exporter of oil, it isn't even the most oil-dependent nation. It ranks in 8th place for that. Yet according to the IMF, of the 15 largest oil-exporting countries, Venezuela's economy has tanked more dramatically and persistently than any other. In fact, it's the only country in the group which was in recession through 2014, 2015, and 2016. For years, Venezuela's economy seemed to be doing okay. But this was illusory. See, when an economy grows, that can be because they're making more good stuff, or it can be because the stuff they already have is increasing in value. The latter was the case in Venezuela. Under socialism, there wasn't as much incentive for individuals to invest in harvesting more oil, or for workers to be more productive. This was seen in other areas of the economy as well. Steel production, for example, fell by more than 70% after it was nationalized in 2008. So their oil supply stayed at about the same level, even shrinking a bit. And this was masked by the fact that the price of oil was increasing. But unfortunately, prices didn't increase forever. Thing is, even when oil prices were at an all-time high, the Venezuelan government lacked funds. But like a good socialist state, they refused to stop spending, so they monetized their debts, flooding the economy with extra cash and creating a crisis of hyperinflation. As a result, people are now starving in the streets, struggling to have their most basic needs met, and suffering in other ways most of us living in developed and free nations may never understand. These kinds of mishaps are the inevitable result of central planning. A market economy isn't perfect, but it allows for people who are good with specific resources to accumulate and manage large supplies of them, whether it be oil, steel, food, or any other important resource. Under socialism, management of precious resources is left up to whomever happens to be empowered by a whimsical and politically operating state to oversee production, and mismanagement almost always ensues. The resulting chaos eliminates countless human lives and creates more unnecessary human suffering than can be quantified. When bearing witness to this kind of injustice, don't allow proponents of the theories which led to it to fall back on the cop-out that it wasn't real socialism. This is cold comfort to the millions who were promised a Marxist utopia just a few years ago and are now eating family pets just to stay alive. And it'll be cold comfort to you if you let them destroy your country. Hey folks, thank you so much for watching. If you find this content valuable and would like to help the people who worked on it to get paid, please donate at subscribestar.com/freedomtunes or to donate using PayPal at freedomtunes.tv/#/donate. Thank you so much.
I'm a white ally.
Hey,
What, whitey?
how do you know you're really advocating for what black people want?
Of course I know what people of color want.
Did you go into black neighborhoods and take polls so you know whether or not you're representing their views?
Totally. I was like, what do you want white America to know? And they were like, the nuclear family is totally an oppressive social construct. And gender is fluid. Get used to it, cracker!
So they wanted to get rid of the nuclear family.
Of course, dude, it causes cancer.
What a coincidence that their politics aligned exactly with those of a white upper middle class liberal arts student.
I know, it's weird. It's like they're the perfect tool, group of people for the left to care about in hell.
That is weird, considering they tend to be more conservative on social issues like gay marriage.
Shut up, chubby! Now is the time for white people to be quiet and listen to black people repeat leftist talking points created by white people.
And what if a black person disagrees with BLM?
And you ain't black.
Seems circular.
No, it isn't, because our solutions will help black people.
Oh, wow. Well, no one else is claiming that.
I know, right?
Psych!
Yeah! Got it! Psych!
Alright, well, my point is,
A lot of people have different solutions to the problems black people are facing. That doesn't make them immune from criticism. And by the way, the most obvious solution based on the data is promoting two-parent homes. But you refuse to do that.
Stop trying to hijack the movement with your religious rhetoric. We hijacked it first with our commie rhetoric.
Fine. You want to talk about the part of BLM actually concerned with black lives? You stand for actual victims like George Floyd, but then cheapen it by advocating for guys who got shot trying to kill cops, like Michael Brown. You repeat, hands up, don't shoot, even though Eric Holder's Justice Department debunked that entire narrative. You claim unarmed black men are constantly killed by the police, but it only happened 8 times in 2019, and some of those were self-defense.
Shut up! Your insolence enrages me! Boys! Attack! Dang coronavirus!
Hey folks, thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and comment. And if you want to help us make more of these cartoons, please donate at patreon.com/freedomtunes. Thank you so much.
Freedom Tunes.
Every single in-depth look into the wage gap proves it's due to factors other than gender discrimination.
So you're saying that sexism is good and women should be paid less?
Well, it depends on what you mean by...
So you think sexism is good?
Well, it depends on what you mean by...
So what you're saying is women shouldn't have equal pay?
Well, it depends on what you mean by...
Did you say all women?
Well, it depends on what you mean by...
All women who don't follow traditional gender roles should be forced into electrotherapy?
Well, it would depend on what you mean by...
Women should all die?
I'm not bloody saying any of this. What's the point of interviewing someone if every time you get an answer from them, you just ignore it and respond by saying, "So what you mean is blank?" and then filling in the blank with whatever you want them to say instead of what they actually said?
So what you're saying is...
Hey folks, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this, please consider donating on Patreon to help me make more weekly cartoons about politics. Thank you.
Hey, I've got a news story here, and I was hoping to put it on your platform, boss.
Oh, sorry, but if the story isn't true, we can't let you in.
Hey, I've got this fake story that's gonna get celebrities to threaten a teenager. We'll also be telling the entire country where he goes to school.
Oh, right this way, sir.
I literally have a picture of a presidential candidate's son next to a crack pipe right here.
Ooh, we need more than photographic evidence.
Extra, extra! Trump has a P-tape!
Or less, much less. Come on through, sir.
I got beat up in Chicago by 2 Trump supporters for being on Empire.
Ah, well, white supremacists are usually really familiar with D-list gay rights activists from black TV shows. So it sounds about right to me. Come on in.
Now that one sounded fishy to me.
The President of the United States is colluding with the Russians! They're subverting our democracy!
Come on in.
Thank you.
The Russians are watching us and they're using the President!
Look, I have to be very responsible on my platform. Well, I can't just let people spread fake news. Can you imagine what would happen in this country?
Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a like and a comment, and if you want to help us make more cartoons, please donate at patreon.com/freedomtunes. YouTube can be pretty up and down with the ad revenue, so any support from fans is greatly appreciated. Thank you so much.
YouTube madness! Did you know YouTube videos are turning the youths into crackhead Nazis? That's right, political commentary that isn't sanctioned by the 5 companies that control almost everything on television leads directly and immediately to becoming a Nazi. How does this work? For example, when somebody searches Ben Shapiro, YouTube recommends to them other videos by Ben Shapiro or similar content creators. This is due to the most fatal flaw of YouTube's algorithm. It's designed to show people videos that they want to see instead of videos that I want them to see. But without an algorithm designed to push people away from their political interests and towards the political interests of massive corporations like YouTube, how are we supposed to prevent brainwashing?
What YouTube should be doing is directing people away from videos grassroots content creators have developed and towards videos created by highly funded media conglomerates or people parroting the opinions of said highly funded media conglomerates. How else can we prevent a fascist echo chamber? But wait, you might be asking, isn't it normal when all opinions are allowed for some to rise to the top? And aren't you branding petty run-of-the-mill conservative opinions as Nazism? The answer to both of these questions is no! It's very possible to create a media space totally free from bias, which in no way resembles an echo chamber. Just look at the mainstream media. If we follow their model, everyone will be getting fair and objective information at all times. The mainstream media is always working hard to protect us from fascism. Like in 2020 when facts about Joe Biden's family were turning voters into fascists by causing them to support Trump. The media hid these fascist facts until after the election. And good thing too, because 10% of Biden voters said that had they known these facts, they wouldn't have voted for old No Malarkey Joe. Unfortunately, the media doesn't always succeed at preventing fascist ideas from spreading. Hillary being crooked, the Russians not being in control of the U.S. government, our wars in the Middle East being based on false pretenses. These fascist ideas have spread despite the best efforts of our noble heroes in the media. Why? Because of pesky internet Nazis never allowing us to get away with bending the truth to fight fascism. They wouldn't even let the anti-fascist media destroy a teenager's life for supporting the wrong political candidates. Come on, man! But it wasn't always this way. You see, a long time ago, when Americans' primary way to access visual media was their television, a handful of media companies controlled almost everything you got to see. These noble guardians existed for the express purpose of preventing Americans from becoming Nazis.
This information may be entirely false.
But then, YouTube came to be, bringing us to today, where everyday citizens are able to create and upload whatever they want, and other everyday citizens are able to choose to watch whatever they want. So stop allowing people to choose what content they would like to see and return control to the major corporations and their friends. Otherwise, we could end up living under tyrannical fascism. Can you imagine?
Hey folks, thank you so much for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, and if you can, please donate to help us make more. I've got a feeling YouTube might not monetize this one, and your financial support is what helps us get a lot of these done. Thank you and God bless.
Joe Biden, best candidate ever!
My name's Joe Biden. I'm a Democratic candidate for the United States Senate.
Can you wait for Joe Biden to become president and end racism? I sure can't.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Okay, so he won't end racism, but he will raise your taxes, restrict your gun rights, give 8-year-olds a right to change gender. Okay. Joe Biden is an all-American hero who finishes sentences good. But did you know he's also America's most forward-thinking foreign policy strategist? In 2003, most politicians supported the insane and destructive foreign policy strategy of invading Iraq and Afghanistan, costing us thousands of lives, trillions of dollars, and our remaining credibility on the world stage.
Come on, man.
But Joe Biden was too forward-thinking to adopt such a strategy after 9/11.
I'm so forward-looking.
He adopted it before. Biden wanted us to invade Iraq as early as 1997. A man truly ahead of the curve. Joe Biden is also an extremely trustworthy and honest political leader. When a company which had given Hunter Biden millions of dollars was being investigated, Joe Biden told the Ukrainian government that they would no longer receive foreign aid unless the investigator was fired. Also, the family's shady dealings wouldn't be exposed, allegedly. And by allegedly, we mean definitely. Allegedly.
You don't do that in MSNBC.
And let's not forget Joe Biden's unceasing thirst for justice and truth. In 2016, Donald Trump colluded with Russia to get elected. What was particularly heinous about this crime is that he avoided all potential legal penalties for it with one simple trick. Rather than committing the crime on U.S. soil, he committed it inside of my imagination, where neither I nor the U.S. government have any jurisdiction. This is known as the not breaking the law loophole, which prevents people from being prosecuted for crimes based on our anxious fantasies every day. But Joe Biden was committed to truth and justice. He wasn't going to let something pesky like truth and justice get in the way. So despite the absolute non-existence of any evidence, he ordered the unmasking of Trump advisor Michael Flynn, who was then charged with lying to government officials who themselves said he never lied to them.
I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
Joe Biden is the best possible option for this country. There's no possible way that anyone could take issue with him or his campaign unless they were a Trump-loving fascist bigot who wants to live in a country where the CIA doesn't get to punish you for crimes you committed in my imagination. Joe Biden 2020. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave a like and a comment below. And if you want to help us make more, please donate at patreon.com/freedomtunes. Thank you so much.
You're violating my lockdown rule.
Hello, I'm Tony Hayward, President and CEO of BP. Our accidental drilling spill again in the Gulf is a tragedy that should have never happened. And to all those affected, I want to say, we are deeply sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. Sorry. We're sorry. We're sorry. Sorry. We're sorry. I'm deeply sorry. Sorry.
Do I really have to do this, Dad?
Stan, now more than ever, you need to understand the importance of saving money.
But Grandma said I could use this money to buy whatever I want.
Okay, next please.
Go on, Stanley.
I got a $100 check from my grandma, and my dad said I need to put it in the bank so it can grow over the years.
Well, that's fantastic. A really smart decision, young man. We can put that check in a money market mutual fund. Then we'll reinvest the earnings into foreign currency accounts with compounding interest, and it's gone.
What?
It's gone. It's all gone.
What's all gone?
The money in your account. It didn't do too well. It's gone.
What do you mean? I have $100.
Not anymore, you don't. Poof.
Well, what can I do to get back
I'm sorry, sir, but this line is for bank members only.
I just opened an account.
Do you have any money invested with this bank?
No, you just lost it all.
Then please stand aside for people who actually have money with us. Next, please.
Hey!
Hello, Mrs. Farnickel. How are you today? Making a deposit, are we? Great. We can just put that into your retirement account and make it go to work for you, and it's gone.
What?
Sorry, yeah, that's gone. Please step aside for people who actually have money with the bank. Next, please.
Dad!
Hey, I'm trying to teach my son the importance of savings. You already lost his money?
Oh, Mr. Marsh, don't worry. We can just transfer money from your account into a portfolio with your son, and it's gone! This line is for people who have money with the bank only. Please step aside.
Law number 1. Never outshine the master. Nicolas Fouquet made the mistake of appearing larger than his king, Louis XIV, and spent his remaining days incarcerated. Avoid victories over superiors. It will cost you more than it is worth. Law number 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies. Michael III of the Byzantine Empire was saved from death by Basilius, who Michael in turn favored with gifts and prestige. Basilius, lusting for more power, murdered Michael out of greed. Instead of showing gratitude, he was insatiable. Trust from a distance. People are selfish and pursue their own interests. Former opponents make more loyal and stronger friends. Law number 3. Conceal your intentions. The Marquis de Sévigné wanted to seduce a young countess. Instead of being indirect and subtle, he exposed his true feelings for her and she lost all interest, as he blurted out that he loved her. Add a sense of unexplicable mystery to your character. Law number 4. Always say less than necessary. Law number 5. So much depends on reputation. Guard it with your life. During the Second World War, Erwin Rommel was known for his superior skill in cunning and deceptive strategy. All of the opposition were demoralized and doubting their chances of success facing him. Your reputation precedes you. Build and protect it carefully. Law number 6. Court attention at all cost. Pablo Picasso would not allow himself to fade into the background. He would rather paint something out of the ordinary and ugly than be forgotten. All publicity is good publicity. Don't let yourself become one of many. Law number 7. Get others to do the work for you. Thomas Edison wasn't much of a scientist, but a businessman. He would capitalize on Nikola Tesla's genius and garner all the credit. Hire talents capable of doing what you can't. Law number 8. Make other people come to you. Use bait if necessary. When I have laid bait for deer, I don't shoot at the first doe that comes to sniff, but wait until the whole herd has gathered round. Otto von Bismarck. Force your opponent to react to your moves. Law number 9. Win through your actions, not through argument. Mucius needed strong ships. Without guarding his tongue, his engineer argued that a different type than the one Mucius preferred would be much better for conquest. Despite being right, the engineer was sentenced to death. Don't argue with authorities. Agree and suggest an alternative, then demonstrate. Law number 10. Infection. Avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Lola Montes brought down the king of Bavaria and his whole kingdom by seducing him. Her lust for destruction and chaos was insatiable. Countless lives perished because of her nature. Cut off the fire starters. Try to help them instead and you will burn alongside them. Law number 11. Learn to keep people dependent on you. Otto von Bismarck led the king's hand in uniting a mighty Prussia. None other than Bismarck was able to do so. He proved himself to be an indispensable asset and had his strong position secured. Be the only one who can do what you do or see yourself replaced in fear sooner or later. Law number 12. Use selective honesty to disarm your victim. Count Victor Lustig was going to double Al Capone's $50,000. Instead of running with the money, he gave it all back to Capone, who thought he was being played by a con artist. Capone gave Lustig the $5,000 simply to help the honest man. Tell the truth to gain your opponent's trust. Be honest when expected to be dishonest, to throw your opponent off guard. Law number 4. Always say less than necessary. Due to his unpredictability, Louis XIV would have his courtiers tremble in fear when delivering bad news. He would say, "I shall see." Have them leave the room and either take action or decide to do nothing about the issue, but always with an intimidating silence. Only speak when you have something meaningful to say. Actions speak louder than words. Law number 13. Asking for help appealed to people's self-interest. In 433 BC, the Athenians found themselves in a favorable position. The Corcyraeans and the Corinthians were preparing for war. Both parties wanted to secure the help of the Athenians. The Corinthians chose to remind them of an existing debt. The Corcyraeans, on the other hand, spoke only of mutual interests, the combined force of their navy directed at Sparta. The Athenians allied with the Corcyraeans. In sales of any kind, pragmatic arguments will always trump emotional appeals. The past does not matter. Don't count on loyalty. Aim for win-win deals. Law number 14. Pose as a friend, work as a spy. Charles Maurice de Talleyrand-Périgord, French politician and mastermind behind Napoleon Bonaparte's defeat, would hold himself back in conversation and get others to talk endlessly of themselves to the point of betraying their own thought, intent, and strategy. An interrogation disguised as a friendly chat, so subtle that the victim did not notice. Learn to judge a person's character by what they reveal of themselves, so that you can recognize a threat before it arises. Test people's honesty before you consider trusting them. Law number 15. Crush your enemy totally. A priest asked the dying Spanish statesman and general Ramón María Narváez, "Does your excellency forgive all your enemies?" "I do not have to forgive my enemies," answered Narváez. "I have had them all shot." The last resort, when words are no longer heard and the enemy cannot possibly be reasoned with, the chances for peace at their lowest, the only option is total destruction. Merely wound the enemy, he will recover and show no mercy in turn. Law number 16. Use absence to increase respect and honor. A man said to a dervish, "Why do I not see you more often?" The dervish replied, "Because the words, 'Why have you not been to see me?' are sweeter to my ear than the words, 'Why have you come again?'" Molayami, quoted in Idries Shaw's Caravan of Dreams, 1968. Give people time to miss you by robbing them of your presence. It's when we lose something that we discover how valuable it had been to us. On your return, you will be appreciated all the more. Law number 17. Cultivate an air of unpredictability. Once Pablo Picasso had become a recognized artist, others would assume that whatever action he took must have been calculated. The art dealer Paul Rosenberg was confused when one day Picasso told him they would no longer work together. Rosenberg couldn't find out why and offered him a much better deal. The unpredictable is terrifying. When you don't know what to expect, you cannot prepare properly. You can't devise a clever plan because you're in the dark. Put others in such a position when negotiating. Law number 18. Isolation is dangerous. The more you are isolated, the easier it is to deceive you. You lose touch with reality. When someone is urging you to cut friends and family out of your life, realize that they want to control and influence you all by themselves. Whether they do this consciously or unconsciously, it is malicious. Be careful in cutting yourself off from others for too long. Introverted or not, you may cause yourself great harm psychologically by pushing others away from you. Law number 19. Do not offend the wrong person. Muhammad, the Shah of Khwarezm and Inalchik, had beheaded Genghis Khan's messengers who had come in peace with great gifts and offerings. The Khan declared war, seized the enemy's capital, and had Inalchik killed, quote, by having molten silver poured into his eyes and ears. Later Genghis Khan seized Samarkand, bringing his brutal conquest of Muhammad's vast empire to an end. What would have become of Adolf Hitler had he been given a chance of becoming an artist? Perhaps history would be very different. Avoid insulting others. You do not know who you are dealing with. Even though we live in a time where everyone is offended, and the level of political correctness borders on absolute madness. Law number 20. Do not commit to anyone. Alcibiades, Greek soldier and statesman, found himself courted by the Athenians and the Spartans because he had influence on the Persians, and honored by the Persians because he had influence over the Greek city-states. Instead of committing to one side, he played all of them in his favor. Committing to someone is like handing yourself over to them. It means more obligations and less control. Law number 21. Play a sucker to catch a sucker. Socrates said, "The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing." He didn't actually believe of himself that he did not know anything. It was his way of disarming people. Sometimes you have to play dumb so that the other lets his guard down. Being openly smart is foolish. Being openly foolish is smart. Law number 22. Surrender tactic. Transform weakness into power. The Melians were prompted to surrender, but declined the Athenians' offer. Despite their alliance, the Spartans did not come to the rescue. Melos was conquered and their population slaughtered and sold into slavery. To quote Cardinal de Retz, weak people never give way when they ought to. Avoid weakness, but when you find yourself in a weak spot, choose to fight another day. You will lose the current battle, but the war is not over. Law number 23. Concentrate your forces. The greater an empire's territories, the more vulnerability. Great lands need strong borders, else they may be overrun by another barbarian tribe, as seen with the collapse of Rome. Your armies are strongest when forged together. Divide them, and they may not be able to protect the empire from an invasion. Dedicate your complete focus to one front, using every resource at your disposal, and all of your energy to master your craft through total immersion. Law number 24. Play the perfect courtier. One cannot spell courtiership without Charles Maurice de Talleyrand-Pérégaux, the man who brought down Napoleon Bonaparte, master of the battlefield, with extreme subtlety. You are a courtier, or courtier, whether you like it or not. You must play the game of power, so you might as well choose to be good at it. The perfect courtier obeys his masters, but shines in his own light. He is not powerless, doesn't trust, but appears trustful. Doesn't talk much, but finds the right words and the right timing when he does. Everyone likes him. He is charming, witty, and helpful. He appears to be neutral, a paragon of honesty and fairness. He always has a genuine smile on his face, and we don't doubt his intentions for 1 second. Although he is a great talent, we do not feel threatened by him. We seek him as an ally. This way, the perfect courtier holds more power than the king himself without the dangers of that position. As we target the highest authorities, he's in the shadows observing the current state of the chessboard. Pieces may fall and be sacrificed on both ends, but he is winning regardless. Learn the art of courtiership. Law number 25. Recreate yourself. Others will call you what they think you are, or what they think they see in you. It's all superficial. Every now and again you'll receive a genuine compliment. But your parents, friends, society, even your government expects you to be someone or something else. It's important that you choose to be whatever you want to be, and that you feel free to change whenever you like. You have the freedom to dismiss the opinions of others, even to put on a good show like Gaius Julius Caesar. The world is your stage. It's up to you what role you want to play. Think of life like a book, and you're writing it. You're the main character, so act like it. Law number 26. Keep your hands clean. As written in Niccolò Machiavelli's letter to the prince, Cesare Borgia was using Ramiro di Orco as a tool to take gruesome action against all of his enemies. In the end, he used him as a scapegoat, put the full blame on Di Orco, and threw lavish banquets for the common folk, presenting not only his clean slate, but positive change. It is the ultimate act of betrayal, to have someone's back only to find out they've been using you this whole time. Avoid falling into the trap of being someone's cat's paw or scapegoat. Law number 27. Play on people's need to believe. There are two different types of people in the world. Those who want to know and those who want to believe. Friedrich Nietzsche. We strive to find meaning in a world full of formless chaos. Hence, most of us resort to the comfort of believing in unproven divine entities. Your quest for answers and your need to belong is used against you, whether for your recruitment as a mindless disciple or your loyal customership for a particular brand. Christopher Hitchens wrote, "Beware the irrational, however seductive, shun the transcendent, and all who invite you to subordinate or annihilate yourself." End quote. If someone claims to have all the answers, they are full of shit. Fall prey to them, and all you are doing is giving more power to those who don't have your best interest at heart. You cannot let others think for you. If something doesn't make sense to you, perhaps like right now, feel free to dismiss it, but consider doing so on your own behalf. Law number 28. Enter action with boldness. If you're confident enough to play the role of Monsieur Lustig, one of the greatest con artists in history, selling the Eiffel Tower to greedy scrap metal business owners looking to make a fortune overnight for millions of dollars, not once but twice, one thing is crystal clear. You're not playing around. You don't hesitate, and your moves have a high rate of success, be that seduction, strategy, or power moves. There's that one split second before a box fight where Mike Tyson's opponent will flinch and break eye contact. He already knows he's beaten. There's that scene where Marco Polo and Kublai Khan stare down a wolf. It's hesitation versus boldness. In order to be fearless, you need courage. Be bold. Law number 29. Plan all the way to the end. Excerpt from the book. The gods on Mount Olympus, looking down on human actions from the clouds, they see in advance the endings of all great dreams that lead to disaster and tragedy, and they laugh at our inability to see beyond the moment, and at how we delude ourselves. Before you take action, consider the possible outcomes and consequences, calculate the risk, then execute if it's worth doing. However, as time goes on, things reform, and it would be foolish to stick to a plan that ignores change. Law number 30. Make your accomplishments seem effortless. Harry Houdini made his stunt performances look like they were a walk in the park, a piece of cake, as easy as stealing a child's lollipop. No one saw just how much work, preparation, and practice went into every piece of the puzzle. This illusion we call magic. Make it look like it was improvised, made up on the spot, and it will seem genuine. Boast how much work went into something, and its natural allure, the magic, is gone. Law number 31. Get others to play with the cards you deal. Ivan the Terrible let Russia choose between him as their Tsar or total destruction from its enemies, the Boyars. He made them see that they could only possibly be protected by him. It wasn't really a choice, and the Russians probably had other options that they were unaware of. They begged him to come back to the capital and lead them. This was what he wanted all along. People like to think they have a choice. Present them options that will work for you either way. This is the norm in elections, and anything of real importance. Just like Houdini's performance, it is an illusion. Law number 32. People's need to believe and people's fantasies. There isn't a big difference. Il Brigadino was an alchemist. People believed he could turn objects like wood into gold. Ironically, the only gold he ever made was given to him by the people who wanted him to multiply. and others started to learn and practice alchemy. Stop clicking on how to make $1 million overnight type clickbait. Stop buying 6-minute ab workout programs, and stop going to the 7 steps on how to pull hot chicks within hours of the event, and get real. If it sounds too good to be true, it probably is. Law number 33. Discover each man's thumbscrew. Cardinal Richelieu would find out the weaknesses of everyone around him, then worked on it by being useful to them, until they were of no use to him. One by one, he worked his way up to the king, who at the time was a mere child. Know the weak spots of your opponents, the crack in their defense, and you will know what to work with when you need it. In reverse, do not betray your own weaknesses. Law number 34. Be royal in your own fashion. Act like a king. Christopher Columbus did not accept his low standing in the world he was born. He recreated his family tree, married into nobility, and peddled with kings. Now, unless he was mad, people thought, there must be valid reasons behind his bold requests. He must be legitimate. Ask for less, receive less. What you tolerate is what you end up with. Do not think lowly of yourself. You're a king in your own right. You're a queen in your own right. Princes and princesses are no good today. Law number 35. Master the art of timing. Joseph Fouché was switching sides whenever he sensed danger. His biography is riddled with nigh impossible escapes from death. He did not deem it necessary to be loyal to disloyal men. Say what you want of his attitude, but he certainly knew when to act and when to lay low. With time comes change. It is important to not only know how to adapt, but at what exact moment for maximum effect. Too fast and you're a traitor, too late and you're imitating the others. In any case, learn to use time to your advantage. Law number 36. Disdain things you cannot have. King Henry VIII of England ignored his wife Catherine of Aragon for denying him a son. With Thomas Cromwell on his side, he devised a clever plan to marry Anne Boleyn. When you ignore someone, they cannot argue with you, they cannot influence you. You're out of reach and they can't do anything about it. If there is something you cannot and will never have, it is best to push it aside with discontent. Law 37. Create compelling spectacles. Dr. Weisleder healed his patients with the mere energy of moonlight. Why was this obvious scam so successful? Well, people didn't have the internet back then, but they also believed it was too spectacular to be fraud. The grandiosity, the associated status, rich and famous personalities were waiting in line to be healed and healed again. Using symbols as powerful as the moon and the very absence of explanation let people fill in the logical gaps all by themselves. If everyone believes it, it must be true. Mark Twain wrote, "Whenever you find yourself on the side of the majority, it is time to pause and reflect." Law 38. Think as you like, but behave like others. 478 BC, the fearless and experienced warrior Pausanias and his Greek troops captured part of the Persian Empire. Being the overseer of these lands went to his head, and he began acting rather strangely, even for Pausanias. He spoke ill of his own people. Feeling and showing superiority breeds hate. His god complex and constant need to stand out had him killed in the end. You want to fit in, whether you share common beliefs or not. Being better or different in any way just causes trouble through other people's envy and disdain. They'll ostracize you from the group and slander your reputation. How much money do you make? About 70% of whatever they make. Law 39. Stir up waters to catch fish. This is the good old lay a trap with bait and wait. Monkey see, monkey do. The spider web. Mice desire cheese so much, they won't even see the obvious construction around it. When you know your enemies and their weaknesses, you know what they react to, and you use this knowledge against them. Create a false alarm. They'll make a run to save what they hold so dearly and weaken themselves by exposing their flank. That's where you hit them. That's certainly where they will hit you if you fall for it. Keep yourself from being reactive. All that rage, blinding emotions, fear, desire, it makes you predictable and it makes you weak. Don't be impulsive. Law 40. Despise the free lunch. Louis XIV had an eagle eye for the strategic power of money. He would gift paintings of great value to people who didn't like him very much, until then. This way, he got nobility, the keys to power, on his side. At the same time, he increased operational costs for the aristocrats who wanted him gone. It's ingenious. He took money from his enemies and gave it to his new friends. 2 birds with 1 stone. This is one of my favorite laws because it states that cheap misers miss out on opportunities. It pays to be generous, and it pays not to accept free gifts. What is the return of investment on paying for someone's coffee? You sit down at Starbucks with an influential, connected, and experienced entrepreneur. You get to talk to him for 10 minutes, ask his advice, learn from his mistakes. I don't care if the coffee costs $50, I'm paying because there is a lot of upside. Law 41. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. Alexander the Great's father had set the standard of achievement very high. Alexander wasn't going to be content in his father's shadow. He wasn't going to rest on his father's and later on his own laurels. When Alexander saw the breadth of his domain, he wept, for there were no more worlds to conquer. Now, imagine if Alexander the Great had had a son who wanted to be a conqueror. That he would pale in comparison is an understatement. Not a soul would have attributed his success to him, for he'd achieve everything on the shoulders of his father. Don't make it your life's task to be better at being someone else. Instead, go your own way. Unapologetically, be your best self. Law 42. Strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. When the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. Cut the snake at the head. What is an army without its generals? Without leadership? Whole empires have been secured off of conscientious leaders with iron willpower and vision. Take them away, and much like Alexander's empire after his death, they break apart and crumble, turning on each other, defecting and deserting. Often the glue that sticks everything together consists of a few key people at the top in any kind of organization, any kind of social group or hierarchy. Do with this information what you will. Law 43. Work on the heart and mind of others. October of 1793, the French Revolution declared the end of the monarchy. Marie Antoinette knelt at the guillotine, for she never cared about the people's opinion of her as their queen. She thought herself above the common folk. Pampered and disgustingly narcissistic, she paid the price, never learning from her mistakes. You should influence people and win friends, as Dale Carnegie suggests. It is more than beneficial to be recognized for your kindness and helpful demeanor. Be agreeable or face the consequences of being indifferent. Be humble or be humbled. Law 44. Disarm and infuriate with the mirror effect. Alcibiades charmed the Athenians, got accused of profaning sacred statues and fled. Then charmed the Spartans, impregnated the king's wife and fled. Then charmed the Persians and helped Athens win their war against Sparta. They welcomed him back with open arms. Wherever Alcibiades went, whoever he had to deal with, he would leave behind his own values and appear to share the values of his victims. No one could resist a man who not only concurred with them, but also admired their ways of living, seeming to be one of their own. You like people who like you, who are like you. Match people's energy, speak their language, eat their food, find common grounds, and even envious people will drop their preconceived notions about you. Law 45. Preach change, but never reform quickly. Change is imperative, but human beings love the comfort familiarity provides. The unknown, disorder, and chaos are very disruptive and undesirable to us, even when it is for the better. Hence, we need small, incremental changes that build over a long period of time, allowing everyone to adjust at a comfortable pace. You are moving things in the right direction, while avoiding stirring up too much anxiety and dissent. Change things gradually, one step at a time, dragging the voluntary rest of us with you. Law 46. Never appear too perfect. It takes great talent and skill to conceal one's talent and skill. La Rochefoucauld. If you have been paying attention, you will have noticed that a lot of these power plays revolve around the master and the student or slave, domination and submission, superiority or authority and inferiority, ego, pride, arrogance, and envy, jealousy, hatred. It's a very vicious and ultimately destructive cycle. Everyone wants to be the king. No one wants to be the pawn. Me? I don't want to be a pawn, but I don't want to be the king either. I don't want to envy nor be envied. I want to be the faceless man behind the throne. I don't want to be on the chessboard. I don't want to be a visible target, but I still want to win at the game of power, no matter what side loses. Law 47. In victory, learn when to stop. In 1751, Madame de Pompadour found herself unable to satisfy Louis XV's lust. To hold on to her privileged position, she arranged younger, prettier women to keep the king happy. This was a loss, for she had to swallow her pride and share Louis with others. They, however, could not compete with her charm, talents, taste, and flawless sense for fashion. Her reign as mistress had lasted an unprecedented 20 years. Don't push too far or you risk losing it all. Know when to take a loss and move on. Law 48. Assume formlessness. The Spartans, the most powerful infantry the world had ever seen at the time, lost the war with Athens, for they were outnumbered and unwilling to change their views. They did not adapt to circumstance. They did not build walls. They did not want to conquer new lands, nor engage in trade, for gold gave rise to corruption. Meanwhile, Athens was thriving through constant reform. Sparta fell behind and collapsed. Don't fight change. When you catch yourself in the futile attempt to resist a new order, remind yourself that you not only missed the opportunity to predict it, but to adapt to it in time. You have to be anti-fragile. As Bruce Lee said, and this is the closing statement, you must be shapeless, formless, like water. When you pour water in a cup, it becomes the cup. When you pour water in a bottle, it becomes the bottle. When you pour water in a teapot, it becomes the teapot. Water can drip and it can crash. Be water, my friend.
The American dream. There's a reason they call it a dream. Who's there? Cock-a-doodle-doo, pal. No, 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 no! I don't have any more money! My job sucks right now, please! I'll have more money next month! You can't take my house!
Is that your signature?
Oh, okay, well, just help me work something out, okay? I mean, you said I'm a good credit guy, right? I mean, hey, wait! My dog is in there! No! Don't take my dream! Oh, how did this happen? Pardon me? Is that you? Been a long time since the fourth grade. Is that a time machine? There's no need to concern yourself with my stunning accomplishments. Best get in. There's not much time. I gotta go down to the bank and get my life back. They took everything! Oh, bank ain't gonna help you now. Towel in the trunk. Extra set of balls. Put them on. You gonna need them. You're gonna get my dream back? No, pal. You are. I'm here to show you how. Submitted for your approval. 1. First National Bank. What is a bank, you ask? A curious place where both space, time, and irony exist. And yet, don't. You gonna be doing that the whole time? Pay attention, pile. Exhibit A. Those who have come to deposit and safely store their earned monies. Exhibit B. Those who need to borrow said money for purposes unknown. Hey! That's me! Ergo. Exhibit C. The bank only has so much money in the vault to lend out to people such as you. Hey! Hey, that's the guy! He took my house! Really screwing my vibe here, pal. Space-time continuum. He can't hear you. Just let me narrate. Now, where was I? So you see, by the time he got to you, pile, his bank was out of money. But he gave me lots of money and charged me a lot of interest. Yes, that's the only way banks make money. By making debt loans. Debt equals money, pile. Remember that. Debt equals money. The more loans they make, the more money they make. But if they don't have any money, then where did my money come from? You're gonna want to take a step back, pile. Whoa! No way! Yes way. And that's nothing. Hey, buddy, need some money? Oh, they did exactly that, pile. Remember, banks make money by making loans, by selling debt, even to bad credit risks. Yo, have some money, dude. Just sign here. Oh my gosh! They called it free money. Yeah, that's exactly what my loan guy told me. Free money. But it ain't free. The worst power was offering money to people who don't even need it. People power. Like you. You're right. I didn't need him. I was happy here. I didn't need it. Why's he sad? He's making all that money. Shh. He's thinking. Now wait for it. Now wait for it. Bingo. See, the bank is loaned to everyone in town. But to make more money, they have to loan even more. More? How much money do they need? More. Whoa! What's that? Behold, a black horse riding. Credit card. Look, I mean, it's gonna be okay. Everything's gonna be okay. What now? Now, with all this money, he might as well party. Oh, this is awesome! I needed to get my head clear. When I get back, I'm gonna straighten all this out. I just hope Dream is doing okay.
I'm going to get you, my pretty.
Yep, he is. I'm sure he is. You put it on his tab. Little something for yourself. Wait. You know, wait a second, Hartman. I just thought of something. If I got this money from the bank, and the bank got it from the Federal Reserve dump trucks, go on. Then where does the Federal Reserve get their money? Real nice time, ladies. Real nice. Now, excuse me while I borrow these. Say, Hartman, why am I wearing a burglar bikini top? Because no one is allowed inside the Fed. Not you, not me, no American citizen, no duly elected member of our Congress, not the Supreme Court. Not the Supreme Court? Not the Supreme Court. Not the Justice Department, not the CIA, DIA, FBI, ATF, ATE, NBC, not even G.O.D. How come the government isn't allowed inside its own building?
Government? Ah, the Fed is a private bank owned by private stockholders. Do not let the name Federal fool you. It is played about as federal as Federal Express.
A private bank? Private?
Best to keep your voice down, pal.
This is Ethan, Federal Reserve.
Hey, Bill here, First National.
Hi there, Bill. How are you?
Good, good. We're running a little low on money.
No problem. How much you need?
Oh, how does 20 million sound? What?
Excellent. We'll ship it over first thing tomorrow.
Wait, he can just call up the Fed and ask for more money and they give him whatever they want?
No, the Fed don't give the banks money. The Fed loans the banks money. The banks have to pay it back with interest. Come on, come in.
Wait. I still don't understand. Where does the Fed get their money? I mean, if they're a private bank. You said they're a private bank, right? Okay, so who puts money into the Fed then?
This is Mel, United States Mint.
I am Mel. First National needs another 20 millies.
We're already running the presses full steam here, Ethan.
Gotta keep making loans. Gotta keep the money flowing.
All right, you're the Fed. Whatever you guys say. 20 million more by morning.
But I don't get it. What's so wrong about the Fed printing money?
Because it's unconstitutional, pal. Our Treasury is supposed to create our money, but now the Fed controls the printing of America's money. Nobody gets a friggin' dollar that the Fed didn't print. So, they print the money, then they loan it to the government, then they charge the government interest, and then the government taxes you to pay for it. Wake up, pal!
God, I don't see what the big deal is.
You know, you're right, pal.
Wait a minute. Wait, I am?
Yeah. I forget how effective they are at keeping you ignorant.
Well, that's okay. Hey, I'm not ignorant.
Do you even know what money is, pal? In the long ago, people bartered. They traded things they had for things they wanted. I'll trade you my raspberries for that there pot pie.
I don't want your berries.
Come on, pal. These sweet berries.
They're not sweet. They're old, and I don't like berries.
Give me that pot pie! No! As you can see, this bartering situation created some problems. Then, one day, a goldsmith walked up and said...
Now, everybody thinks gold is valuable, so why doesn't everybody trade gold for things they need?
A price was set for gold, and now it was very easy to conduct commerce because people could trade gold for all the things they needed.
Hartman! Wow, look at all my gold! Hey, stop them! That's my gold!
Damn thieves!
Say there, Pyle. I've got a vault and some guards. I can keep your gold safe for you, for a small fee.
Yeah, sure, that'd be awesome.
You see, Pyle, this is how the first bank made money.
There you go, Pyle. I owe you 100 gold coins.
Okay, great.
Come back anytime and redeem your gold when you want it. It'll be right here, in my vault.
Now you're holding the very first paper money, Pyle.
Wow, this is great. It all makes sense.
Oh, that's right. It was good. And everybody started using IOUs because everybody knew the IOU was as good as gold.
Wow, this candy is really a good price. 1 IOU. I'm getting some more for later. Hey, wait a minute. It was just 1 IOU. 10 IOUs for chocolate? You can't just raise prices like that.
Oh, the Candyman can.
Oh, the Candyman can. Wait, that is just frickin' wrong.
It's called inflation, Pyle. It makes your IOUs worth less and less until they are worth nothing. Less bang for the buck. Dollar ain't what it used to be.
But I worked hard and I baked all those pot pies. Now I have to work harder to make less? That's not fair.
Oh, if you think that's not fair, you're gonna love the next part.
What's he doing?
How do banks make money, Pyle?
By making more loans?
Oh, that's right. He's good. See, he prints more IOUs without any more gold, loans them out for interest, makes a pretty penny, and nobody is the wiser. Unless everybody wanted their gold back at the same time.
No. That's my gold.
Not anymore.
What are you talking about?
I'd like to redeem my IOUs, please. Thank you very much.
Hey! I
Gotta love the bank run, bringing people together. See, they all found out he was stealing, made a run on the bank, and demanded their gold. But as you can see, there ain't no gold to get. Herman, don't worry, pal. Back in these times, vengeance will be yours. 3 things in this world you don't do. Never mess with another man's woman. Never mess with another man's ego. And most importantly, you never mess with another man's money. Else, a man will mess with you. My God! You hung him? Yes, pal. Oh, we hung him. We hung him high. And do you know why?